One of the questions I get asked the most is, how do you run your numbers? How do you know if a property cash flows? How do you know if the property makes sense? How do I figure out the ROI, also known as return on investment? Some people also call it COC ROI, cash on cash return on investment. I'm going to give a little tutorial on how I run my numbers. I handwrite everything out. It's pretty simple. When running the numbers, the first thing you have to do is figure out what you're going to pay for taxes. So what you're going to do is take a property, say the property is 90,000. You're going to take that number and divide it by 2, and that will give you the taxable value. So we're going to go to this first box here and enter in 45,000 for the taxable value. This property is in Gratiot County. So we're going to click here. And then you're going to click on what city it is. This property is in Elma. Most of the time when you go to the school district, it will only have one. Then you're going to get two separate numbers. This top number is for a primary residence, and this bottom number is for a rental property. The millage rate is going to be higher for a secondary residence. And then the next step, what you're going to want to the next step is now going to a calculator and taking that number and divide it by 12. So 2,921, divide that by 12. Now this is going to give you your monthly tax cost. So this is the template that I just recycle over and over again. So I'll remove this city. Sometimes I will use the city name, sometimes I'll use the address. It just all depends on if I'm going to share it on social media or not. So we're going to come to the taxes, and we are going to put our 244. Now for the insurance, we have to figure out what the insurance would be. So the best way to go about that is to call different insurance places and get quotes. For us and the properties around here, I run my insurance at $70 a month. Based on the quotes that I've received, our insurance are as expensive as like $780 or as little as like $640. So if I consistently run it at $70 a month, which is $840 for the year, I know that it will be covered for the insurance. Now next we have to figure out what this house would rent for. The house is 1,200 square feet, 3 beds, 1 bath. So what we want to do is use realtor.com, and we are going to search for places for rent. So right now in Elma, we're just going to look at comparables. Not really anything that compares, so we can then next go to Zillow and see what we can find there. As you can see, I've clicked on all these in the past as I'm constantly looking at comparables. However, nothing really pops out to be anything that we can compare it to. Other sites that you can use are Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, apartment.com to run comparables. Based on the square footage, and it's a 3-bed, 1 bath for this area, because this is where I invested, I would rent that property for $1,200. That we know that rent is $1,200 a month, we want to account for vacancies, capital expenditures, and repairs. So what I like to do is 5% of the rent for each one of those. Just to make the math simpler, I'll take 1,200, multiply that by 15%, and that will give you $180 a month that you will count for those 3 items. Now we will add the $180 for our vacancies, repair, and capital expenditures. Now we need to figure out what our monthly mortgage is going to be. It is important to call several credit unions or different lenders to see who can best meet your needs. For me, I use Frankenmuth Credit Union, and they have been absolutely great. I'm able to fully communicate through email and text message, which benefits my busy schedule. I just spoke to my lender a few days ago, and he quoted me at 6.625% interest with 4 points. He said, due to the volatility of the market, that we have to buy points in order to even get a loan. So we want to go over to Zillow Mortgage Calculator. Now, there's tons of different calculators out there. However, this one I like the best. As you can see, I've already ran these numbers. So we're just going to put 90,000 in for the price. Conventional loans for me is 25% down. That's what my bank requires. And then the interest rate is going to be the 6.625%, which will give us our monthly payment of $432. We'll go back to our sheet, go down to mortgage monthly, and put in $432. Now the next step is we want to add up all of these numbers to see what the total cost for the property will be per month. So we'll get our calculator. We already have the 180. We will start. So we'll go back. Our taxes are $244. So plus $244. We know that our insurance is going to be $70, and then $432 per month for your mortgage and your interest. So to run this property, it's going to be $926. So we are going to go down to total cost, $926. Now, this is for a single family household. If you were to have, say, a multifamily, you would have to start looking into, is it individually metered, or does the landlord need to cover part of the gas or the trash or any other utilities, water. This is primarily why I invest in single family households. My tenants are responsible for paying all utilities. They are responsible for snow removal and lawn maintenance. This is where we need to bring everything together. We know the mortgage is going to be $90K. We know rent monthly is going to be $1,200. Now we need to figure out what our down payment is. So we're going to go back to our calculator and we're going to multiply 90,000 times 25%, and that gives us 22,500. So we know our down payment is going to be 22.5K. As we spoke about earlier, we talked about in order to get the 6.625% interest rate, we are forced to pay points. So 1 point is 1% of the loan. So we're going to go back into our calculator. We're going to take 90K, multiply that by 1%, and that's going to give us $900. Now we need to take that and multiply that by 4 because we had to buy 4 points. That's going to give us $3,600. So go back over. We're going to add our points of 3.6K. Closing cost. Closing cost can be anywhere between 3% to 5% of your total loan. So usually I run the numbers around 3.5%. So we go back over to our calculator. We're going to do 90,000 times 3.5%. That's going to give us $3,150. Now, closing costs can also depend on how much of your insurance, how much of your property tax that you have to pay up front. The next is your appraisal. For mine, it's roughly $500 per appraisal. Obviously, it's going to vary with each area. Your lender should be able to tell you how much the appraisal is going to cost. The inspection for me is right around $340. Obviously, the bigger square foot, or if they have additional barns or other areas that need to be inspected that would be outside the normal spectra of a house, then your inspection could be a little bit more. You can always ask your inspector how much it would cost to look at a property. Now, if the property doesn't need any repairs, you are just going to take those 5 numbers and add them up, and that's going to be your total cost to close on the property. So now we are going to take our down payment of $22,500 plus our points of 3,600 plus the closing cost, the appraisal, and the inspection. So in order to close on this property, it would cost us $30,090. So we're going to come over here for our totals, and again, this property we are saying does not need any repairs. Now we have to come back up to our monthly rent and the total cost and figure out what our monthly cash flow is. So our property rents for $1,200 a month. We know that the total cost to run it is $926. So our monthly cash flow is $274. Now we want to take that number and multiply it by 12 for our yearly cash flow, which is $3,288. Now we want to figure out what our cash on cash return on investment is. So we're going to take our monthly cash flow and we're going to divide it by the total closing cost. So we're going to divide this by $30,090, which gives us an ROI of 10.9%. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to put in 10.9%. For me right now, especially with how difficult the market is, I would purchase anything at 8%. Now, a lot of people prefer it to be 12% or 15%. However, I am happy with 8%. I hope this video helped you guys understand how I run my numbers. I did make a mistake earlier when I said the monthly cash flow divided by the total cost to close will give you your ROI. It is your total yearly cash flow divided by the total cost to close will give you your ROI. This property cash flowing at $274 a month and having an ROI of 10.9% would be an absolute home run for me. However, not every property has to be a home run. 4 singles still scores a run. 2 doubles scores a run. The key is just getting started and have a better understanding how real estate works. I run a mentorship program that provides one-on-one sessions for people to help better understand the numbers, truly understand their finances, different ways to make money in real estate, and what different lending are available, among several other topics that we talk about. Please subscribe to the channel as I plan on posting a lot more content shortly.